So welcome to how to make your own PVC Didgeridoo. We're trying to make a didgeridoo really easily and inexpensively and really simply. So basically all you need is some PVC pipe. You can get it from your local hardware store. And you need two other pieces. You could technically make a didgeridoo just out of the pipe, but what we're going to do, just to make it a little more interesting, is we're going to make a bell on the end to make it resonate, and we're going to add a mouthpiece to make the mouthpiece more playable. It's going to be narrower. So we've got this, which is a 1.5 inch PVC pipe. Here's a rough look at the diameter. The diameter will change the sound a little bit, and it's possible if it's thicker or thinner, it may slightly change the frequency of the key or change the frequency of the note. But it's basically you just want 1.5 inches. And we also have a little bell attachment, so it's 3 inches on the outside and it's 1.5 here. And this is going to attach on like that. So now we have a way of increasing the resonance. And then on the other end, we're just going to attach this attachment here to make a smaller mouthpiece. Okay? And at the very end, we're going to put some beeswax. So it should take us all of maybe 10 minutes. The only thing we're going to have to do is cut the PVC pipe using a hacksaw. So if you don't have a hacksaw, you'll have to get one. And we're going to cut it to the length that we want to make the note that we want. In this case, we're going to go for a C sharp because we're doing a Didge workshop in C sharp. And then at the end, we're going to add the beeswax. Optionally, we're at the very end of the video, we'll show you some stuff you can do with a heat gun. So you can use a heat gun to create some divots, and that'll create more interesting harmonics when you play the Didge. Alright, so we're going to take you to the hardware store now and show you how to find these parts. Just go to your local hardware store. This is a 1.5 inch PVC pipe. We're going to cut it because we're going to make our Didge in C sharp. Next thing you need to do is find this attachment. Okay, it goes on the end, so we're going to have a bell for the Didge. We're going to have a picture of this, so don't worry, we'll show you what that is right away. And you need another attachment to create the mouthpiece to be the right size. So this is the attachment here. We're going to attach it like that. You don't actually need this attachment. You could do it without. You could just put some beeswax on this, but I find that it makes the mouthpiece a much smaller and much better size. So you get this little attachment, you put it on like that, and instantly you have a more functional mouthpiece. It's much easier to use. We're going to put a little beeswax on that, but you don't even have to. It's already ready to go. So this is all you need. You've got your bell, and you have your end piece. We're going to cut it to the right length to make it C sharp. We'll show you that next. We're looking for a hacksaw, so I'm just going to show you. For those of you who don't know what a hacksaw is, we're going to show you how to buy a hacksaw. This one's $14.97. You need basically something like this. Hacksaw can cut steel, can cut bolts, but it can also cut PVC. So grab yourself one of these if you don't have one. What you do is get yourself a file or some sandpaper just to smooth some of the rough edges. Don't need it. If you want to save money, don't bother, but it's a possibility if you want it. Okay, so the final thing is totally optional, but you can get a heat gun, and we'll show you what to use that for. You can put in divots, and it'll change the sound of the didgeridoo. It'll make it sound a bit more random and therefore a bit more authentic. So you might want to pick up a heat gun. This one's 1200 watts. It's $32.97. Not necessary if you're trying to save money. Don't bother. But we'll show you how to use this later. I want to take the measuring tape. Really simply, just measure it out. 46.5 inches. Or for those of you who do metric, 118.1 centimeters. So once we measure out 46.5, we're just going to take the saw, and that's 118.1 centimeters. And we're going to cut it right there. So we'll just do that and we'll be right back. Okay, so basically we're just going to cut it. You take the hacksaw and just simply cut it. We're going to pause it and we'll be right back after we're finished cutting. Okay, so now we've got this cut perfectly to 46.5 inches or 118.1 centimeters. All we're going to do is take our two pieces that we already got at the hardware store. This is the 1.5 to 1.25 inch to make the better size mouthpiece. Slide it on. You take the other half, which is the 1.5 to 3 inches, and you put it here. Now, if you want, you could add some glue or some like epoxy or something there, but it's honestly not really necessary. It's got a really tight fit already. So we're almost done. All we have to do is add beeswax to the mouthpiece, but already we're going to have a pretty nice sounding Didge. And we've measured it out to be, in this case, for our use, in the key of C sharp. C sharp is a good key. It's a good key to learn on. Higher keys are going to require a tighter embouchure, But when you're playing in lower keys, it's a little easier to play at the beginning, and it's still a really nice key and it really resonates really quite well. So we've got this C sharp Didge. So it sounds really good, and it's just something really simple. It takes about 10 minutes to make. Next thing we're going to show you is how to put the beeswax on. So the last step, or the second last step, is to get some beeswax, and you can get this from a health food store or at your local farmer's market. In this case, it's coming in a really big chunk. If you're somewhere hot, like Australia, where the original didgeridoo is from, or New Zealand or California, you can just leave it in the sun, and it'll kind of get soft, and you can use a knife to kind of peel off some bits, or you might even be able to use your fingers. Sometimes it comes in sheets. In this case, it's a big chunk, and it's cold. We're in Canada at the moment, and it's winter. So a little trick that I learned is that you can take a cheese grater, and you can just grate some of the pieces off like that. Okay, so just grating it onto some wax paper, and once you have the little pieces, you just gather them up and just sort of squish them together and knead them in your hands. Okay, so we just kneaded it in our hands, plied it, and like I said, in the sun it'll get quite soft, but we're in Canada at the moment, so we used a heat lamp to speed up the process, so that was a little trick. You can also, if you want to melt it, you can put it in a tin can and then put the tin can in a pot of boiling water, and that'll melt it as well. But this has worked quite well, so we've shredded it, we used a heat lamp, and then we've just worked it with our fingers to make it quite soft and pliable. The main reason we use wax is just so that we can make the mouthpiece a little bit softer on the lips, and also so that you can shape it how you want. So you can make the mouthpiece a little bit larger, a little bit smaller, whatever suits you. So we're just going to wrap it around like that, and then we're going to spend a few minutes just to kind of shape it how we want it. So we might just press it in like that, and I'm going to take this off, just kind of figuring it out as we go. So yeah, you can just shape it. We'll take it inside the mouthpiece a little bit. You don't need to go inside too far, and you don't want it too thick because the diameter of the mouthpiece is already pretty good. We're just going to keep working it until it's nice and smooth and all the cracks are covered. Some people ask what's a good diameter for the mouthpiece. If you manage to find this particular piece at the hardware store, that's actually a really good diameter, but another way to remember it is the diameter of this knuckle. So if you measure this knuckle, it's kind of like the rule of thumb, that's about the same size as the mouthpiece, and it works really well. Okay, so we worked on it for a little bit, and we want to keep the inside as open as possible, similar to how it was, and we don't want to use too much wax, but that's an example of what it might look like. So just shred the wax, make sure it's soft, and you get it warm, and you're able to spread it around, and it just makes the mouthpiece softer, and you can shape it to how you want it for play. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Got a brand new didgeridoo. Have fun playing it. It's a great instrument. It's one of the oldest instruments in the world. So enjoy, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Play your brand new Didge in C sharp. Okay, so welcome to the finale of making your own didgeridoo. So if we want, we can put a few finishing touches on. At the store we talked about getting a file, or sandpaper will also do. You can just sand the end a little bit, like that. So The thing is, with the mouthpiece, you don't really need to sand it too much, but if you want to, you can smooth that end out as well as the bell end. Now the final touch that we were talking about, and this is optional, it's not necessary if you don't have a heat gun and you want to save a little money, but if you want to make your didgeridoo have a little more character and also create some more overtones, you can use a heat gun to create these divots here that we have. So all we're going to do is heat up the pipe, and then we're going to press on it with the back of a screwdriver head, and use a screwdriver that you don't mind if the head gets a little bit of the melted plastic on it. So this is an old screwdriver. So you take the heat gun and you turn it on high, just hold it over that area for a few seconds. You're actually going to see it start to melt. When you see it start to bubble, then you know it's getting really hot. Set that upside down, and you just take the back of the screwdriver and you push it in. And you don't want to push too hard or melt it too much, obviously, because you'll poke right through, which you don't want. But you just want enough to create a divot, and that divot is going to add some overtones to the didge and also give it a bit of personality and character. Some of the randomness is actually what makes it sound unique and interesting. So we don't actually want it to be always perfect. The real yidakis, or the real didgeridoos, the inside of the wood is hollowed out by ants, by white ants. So there's what they call termite grooves. There's these grooves that go down the inside, and that's what makes the sound really interesting and creates really unique overtones. So in a way, we're just trying to emulate that sense of randomness that might occur in nature. And you can choose how many you want to put and how deep you want to go. I've even seen people melt the pipe and bend it a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. So basically that's all you do. You create this kind of divot like that. We can maybe go a little deeper with this one. There you go. That's how you make them. And you can choose how many you want to put in. So far I've done 3. I might do a few more. Just spread them out throughout the didge. And then you have your mouthpiece, which I wanted to mention one of the great things about doing it this way. Don't glue the mouthpiece on. This way, if you want to create didges of different length to be able to play in all kinds of different keys, you don't have to create a new mouthpiece every time. You can just have the bell and the mouthpiece removable. Cut the pipes to whatever size you want so that you can have the keys. Just measure them out and test them against a piano or a tuner and find out what key it's in, and then just have didges of different lengths. So after the camera's off, I'm going to put a few more divots. So I invite you to check out my website, prosadmusic.com, Prosad music.com. I do some cool stuff where I mix didgeridoo with sitar, so you can see me play didgeridoo and sitar at the same time. Check that out. Thanks for watching. Good luck making your own didge, and enjoy the music. Cheers.
Oh,